The first week of Sean Diddy Combs' federal trial was nothing short of explosive. From Cassie Ventura's harrowing testimony to Kevin Hart's unexpected courtroom appearance, the public watched as one of music's most powerful moguls was dragged from legend to reality. But if week one shook the industry, what's coming next promises to upend it completely. Because now, the trial isn't just about what Diddy allegedly did, it's about who else was involved, who turned a blind eye, and who might be next to fall. From Kanye West and Kid Cudi to Britney Spears, Prince, and even Diddy's own sons, the list of celebrities named in court continues to grow. And with week two looming, federal prosecutors and insiders suggest the most jaw-dropping revelations are still to come. This is no longer just a scandal, it's the unraveling of an empire. Week one left the courtroom scorched, with Cassie Ventura at the center. As Diddy's former girlfriend and artist, she delivered a gut-wrenching account of more than a decade of abuse, manipulation, and psychological torment. Behind the glitz and glamour of luxury homes and private jets, she described a disturbing world of routine sex parties, heavy drug use, and violent control. Cassie alleged that she was drugged, filmed without her consent, and coerced into sexual acts with strangers, while Diddy watched. Her testimony painted him not just as a possessive partner, but as someone who wielded his celebrity and wealth like weapons to isolate and dominate her. She recounted terrifying incidents of physical violence, including the now viral night Diddy allegedly chased her through a hotel hallway, an event captured on security footage. Unannounced and unwavering, Kevin Hart took the stand in support of Cassie's claims. His testimony was brief but powerful. "We laughed in rooms we should have run from," he told the jury, because silence is the currency that keeps the powerful protected. It was a chilling moment, one many saw as a turning point in the trial. But Diddy's defense team wasted no time striking back. They presented a series of text messages, party footage, and a counter-narrative that called into question how much Kevin truly knew, and when. Still, something deeper was beginning to unfold. As the courtroom drama intensified, a steady stream of unexpected names began entering the official record. These weren't individuals facing charges, but celebrities whose connections to Diddy raised questions by mere proximity. Kanye West, Britney Spears, Michael B. Jordan, Prince. Their names weren't dropped casually, they were strategically placed by both prosecution and defense, signaling that this trial wasn't just about one man's alleged crimes. It was about an entire system built around him, a system held together by celebrity, silence, and secrets. Now, as week two approaches, the list continues to grow. Rumors of subpoenas are swirling. Depositions are reportedly in the works. What started as a personal reckoning is now evolving into a cultural trial, one that threatens to expose the machinery of fame itself. Even from the start, the court faced a nearly impossible task, selecting a jury of 12 people without strong opinions about Sean Diddy Combs, a man who didn't just ride the wave of hip-hop in the 90s and 2000s, but helped shape it. As the founder of Bad Boy Records, he collaborated with icons, launched careers, and became a fixture at the most exclusive parties in the Hamptons and Beverly Hills. He wasn't just famous, he was a cultural architect. The jury questionnaire asked the usual things: familiarity with the case, feelings about celebrity defendants, potential biases. But how could anyone be truly impartial in a trial involving a man who helped define an era? He's appeared in Super Bowl commercials, launched million-dollar fashion brands, and was once hailed as the king of New York nightlife. Sean Diddy Combs isn't just a celebrity, he's a cultural force. And now, with his federal trial underway, the issue of jury impartiality is becoming more critical than ever. Because the names being mentioned in court aren't just background details, they're global icons. Kanye West, Britney Spears, Prince, Michael B. Jordan, Michelle Williams, Bruce Willis. These aren't just famous figures, they carry immense cultural weight, and their involvement, however peripheral, raises serious concerns about how jurors interpret the evidence. Take Kanye West, for instance. He's not on trial, he hasn't been accused of any wrongdoing. But because of his recent collaborations with Diddy, the jury was asked whether they hold strong opinions about him. Why? Because even an indirect connection like that could sway how a juror views Diddy, whether through admiration or disdain. Or consider Prince. Cassie testified about what was supposed to be a career-defining moment, a chance to perform at Prince's house. She described it as a symbol of artistic freedom, one she claims Diddy tried to sabotage out of jealousy. Again, the jury isn't being asked to judge Prince, but they are hearing his name in the context of emotional abuse, manipulation, and control. And it didn't stop there. During a discussion about Cassie's past and co-parenting dynamics, Diddy's defense team casually mentioned Bruce Willis and Eddie Murphy, seemingly to reframe Cassie's behavior as rooted in jealousy rather than trauma. But to the jury, it was yet another cluster of A-list names woven into an already explosive narrative. The real concern now isn't just whether the jury can remain unbiased toward Diddy, it's whether they can stay focused at all. With every new celebrity name dropped in court, media coverage explodes and the spectacle grows. The jury isn't just being asked to weigh facts and testimonies, they're being asked to separate truth from tabloids, to untangle a web of fame, influence, and cultural baggage that threatens to overshadow the core of the case. From the very culture that elevated them to fame, few names in the courtroom carry as much chaotic gravity as Ye, formerly known as Kanye West. Just days after Diddy's arrest, Kanye dropped a track titled "Lonely Roads Still Go to Sunshine," which featured what sounded like a prison phone call between Diddy and his son, Christian King Combs. The song didn't go viral for its beat or lyrics. It went viral for what it implied. Why would Kanye release a track with a recorded prison conversation right as Diddy's legal storm was breaking? Was it an act of loyalty, a message of solidarity, or something more calculated? The timing was impossible to ignore. Some saw it as an attempt to humanize Diddy, to portray him not just as a scandal-plagued mogul, but as a father and a man enduring a spiritual reckoning. Others saw it as a distraction, a classic Kanye move: stir controversy, then offer something symbolic to shift the narrative. But whatever the intent, it signaled that Kanye wasn't stepping back, he was stepping in. This wasn't lost on the court. Jurors were specifically asked if they held strong opinions about Kanye West. Not because he's under investigation, but because his proximity to Diddy, professionally, personally, even spiritually, could influence how jurors interpret the case. Their shared history is long and layered: collaborations, public appearances, even political entanglements. And in the aftermath of Diddy's arrest, Kanye didn't distance himself. He drew closer. That's not a crime in the legal sense, but in the court of public opinion, it's combustible. Whether intentional or not, Kanye West has now embedded himself into the narrative of this trial. And in doing so, he may have added a new layer of complexity to an already volatile case. Into the shadows of this trial steps Kanye West, and now the world is watching to see what he does next, and whether his connection to Diddy will shift from symbolic to significant. But the most chilling moment of Cassie Ventura's testimony wasn't about Kanye. It was about Kid Cudi. When she told the court that Diddy had once threatened to blow up Cudi's car, the courtroom atmosphere changed. This wasn't just a moment of emotional recall, it was a specific, violent allegation of intimidation, with eerie parallels in real life. According to Cassie, when Diddy discovered she had been romantically involved with Kid Cudi, he didn't just get angry, he made a threat. "I'll blow that her's car up," she quoted him as saying. At first, it might have sounded like a hyperbolic outburst, but then came the twist. In February 2012, Kid Cudi's car mysteriously caught fire in his driveway. At the time, it was dismissed as a freak accident. No charges were filed, no official suspicion of foul play. But now, in the context of sworn testimony, the incident carries an ominous new meaning. Under oath, Cassie said she lived in constant fear, not just for herself, but for anyone close to her. The implication: Diddy's control wasn't just possessive, it was punitive. Anyone he saw as a threat, romantic or otherwise, was a potential target. Kid Cudi's name is no longer just a footnote. He may now be a central figure, a possible witness to a pattern of intimidation and psychological abuse. The big question: will he testify? Whether in person or through a deposition, his testimony could be pivotal. He wasn't just a love interest. He's a high-profile artist who may have been caught in the crossfire of Diddy's alleged rage and retaliation. Legal experts say if Cootie confirms even part of what Cassie claimed, it could open the door to serious legal consequences for Diddy, ranging from witness intimidation to criminal threats and endangerment. What once sounded like a dramatic anecdote from a past relationship is now potential evidence. And if the fire that destroyed Cootie's car wasn't just bad luck, then it's not just smoke anymore. It's a signal flare. On the surface, celebrities like Michael B. Jordan, Bruce Willis, and Eddie Murphy may seem like odd names to appear in a federal trial centered on abuse and sex trafficking. But in week 1, all 3 were mentioned, each in different ways, yet all connected to a larger narrative: Diddy's far-reaching influence and the emotional control he allegedly wielded behind the scenes. Cassie testified that a brief romance with Michael B. Jordan triggered another violent episode. She claimed Diddy found out, not through gossip, but through surveillance. That detail alone suggested a disturbing level of intrusion. The aftermath, she said, wasn't just a verbal confrontation, it turned physical. Her connection to Jordan may not carry legal implications for him, but it painted a troubling picture. Cassie wasn't just afraid of Diddy hurting her, she feared he might harm anyone she tried to build a future with. That fear, she said, silenced her for years. And with each new name mentioned, it becomes clearer. This case isn't just about Diddy. It's about a system of fear, control, and silence that wrapped itself around anyone who got too close. The question now is, how many more names are behind all of this? The Diddy trial has been explosive on its own, but what's happening outside the courtroom is what's truly igniting the fire. As testimonies deepen and evidence continues to mount, people from Diddy's past, particularly former collaborators, are beginning to break their silence. And no one has stepped forward with more fury or precision than the women of Danity Kane. Aubrey O'Day, long one of Diddy's most outspoken critics, is now being heard in a way she wasn't before. In a recent interview, she didn't mince words, calling Diddy a soulless man and describing the environment he created around Danity Kane as so toxic it left lifelong scars. Her words weren't vague, they were razor sharp. She painted a clear picture of manipulation, fear, and control that dominated the group's time under his management. Then came Dawn Richard, this time not just in the media, but in a court filing. She's officially joined a civil lawsuit against Diddy, accusing him of sexual abuse, inhumane working conditions, and using fear as a weapon to silence people. But what sent shockwaves through the legal community was her claim that she personally witnessed Diddy abuse Cassie Ventura. That's no longer just solidarity, it's firsthand testimony. Aubrey and Dawn aren't outsiders lobbing accusations from afar. They were insiders, handpicked, managed, and promoted by Diddy at the height of his empire. Their stories aren't tabloid gossip anymore. They're part of the legal record. And legal insiders say it's increasingly likely that one or both could be called to testify in the criminal case if it expands. Aubrey's past interviews are also resurfacing, this time with a different kind of weight. A 2019 podcast clip has gone viral where she said, "He could break you with a look." And he did, all the time. You couldn't speak unless spoken to. You smiled or you were gone. At the time, it was brushed off as bitterness from a fallen pop star. Now, it reads like a warning we all missed. If these women take the stand in week 2 or beyond, the case will evolve. From a story about Cassie to something much bigger. A pattern, a long, well-documented one, a history of alleged abuse and exploitation, particularly of young women under Diddy's control. And that may be what Diddy's defense team fears most. Not a lone accuser, but a chorus of women all telling the same story. Meanwhile, Diddy's legal team continues to cast him as a misunderstood creative genius under attack. But there's one development they can't seem to spin: the growing scrutiny surrounding his sons. Christian King Combs and Justin Combs were both detained during the high-profile federal raid on Diddy's mansion in 2024. At the time, it was dismissed as a show of force, dramatic, but ultimately routine. But new details suggest something much more serious. Christian Combs is now directly accused of sexual assault and battery in a 2024 lawsuit. The incident allegedly took place aboard a luxury yacht chartered by Diddy himself. While Christian has denied the allegations and hasn't been criminally charged, the lawsuit has raised an unsettling question. Was Diddy enabling this behavior? And if so, was he present? The yacht scenario is not an isolated incident. It mirrors the same secluded, drug-fueled, consequence-free party culture described by Cassie. What's most damaging is the claim that Diddy knew about the incident shortly after it happened and did nothing. If that can be proven, this shifts from scandal to something potentially criminal. A cover-up, a conspiracy. And Justin Combs, Diddy's older son, may not be far removed either. His name has surfaced in connection to the broader probe, adding another layer of complexity and another branch of potential liability. As this case moves into its next chapter, it's becoming clear. The storm is no longer just circling Diddy. It's closing in on Diddy's
Everyone
sons
in his
haven't
orbit.
been named in any lawsuits yet. But their detainment during the high-profile federal raid has brought renewed scrutiny to just how closely they orbit his inner circle. According to anonymous sources close to the investigation, federal agents are now reviewing communications between Justin Combs and Diddy. Specifically, conversations linked to events and gatherings held at multiple properties. Why does this matter? Because if prosecutors can prove that Diddy not only hosted these events, but facilitated or concealed criminal activity, especially involving his own sons, the case escalates. This stops being just about personal abuse. It becomes about systemic abuse, organized, coordinated, and protected. We're talking RICO-level implications. As week 2 of the trial looms, speculation is building that one or both sons may be called to testify, either voluntarily or under subpoena. And if that happens, they'll face an impossible decision: protect their father or protect themselves. Either way, the polished, Instagram-perfect image of the Combs family has crumbled. What's left is a legacy under fire, where loyalty isn't a brand, it's a liability. As the courtroom braces for another week of bombshells, one thing is clear: we're still just at the beginning. Week 1 already produced a staggering list of names: Kanye West, Kid Cudi, Michael B. Jordan, Britney Spears, Prince, Michelle Williams, Bruce Willis, Eddie Murphy, Suge Knight, and even Diddy's own sons. Some were brought up through Cassie's timeline, others were named by the defense. But all of them are now part of the official trial record, and that means more could follow. Multiple outlets confirm that new subpoenas are being issued. Additional depositions are underway. Federal agencies, including Homeland Security and the FBI, are now deeply involved, combing through digital evidence pulled from Diddy's various properties. That includes what's beneath them, yes, the tunnels. Long the subject of online speculation, Diddy's secret underground passageways have now been confirmed through architectural plans and statements from former security staff. Prosecutors haven't disclosed what they've found there yet, but sources close to the case suggest it could include surveillance footage, client lists, and possibly even non-disclosure agreements stored in hidden compartments. That's the potential turning point. Because once the trial shifts from testimony to hard digital evidence, it's no longer about who says what. It's about what can be proven. And once names start matching faces on footage, the floodgates could open. So who else might be named? Rumors are swirling about other high-profile guests, attendees of Diddy's infamous white parties and private island retreats. We're not just talking artists. We're talking moguls, executives, influencers, people with reputations to protect, and perhaps secrets to hide. People who may have helped preserve the very system Cassie says nearly destroyed her. Even the prosecution has hinted that Week 2 will introduce new narratives. That's coded language. What they're really saying is, more people are coming forward, more stories are being validated, and the timeline of alleged abuse is expanding fast. This trial may have started with Cassie, but it could end with the unmasking of an entire culture, one built on silence, power, and protection. Because the real story isn't just what's said in court, it's what gets revealed when the lights finally come on. And right now, those lights are just starting to warm up.